TubeBuddy.com. And today I'm outdoors. So I'm going to be talking about three things, or actually focus on three different areas today. The first one being the new Facebook creator feature that Facebook is rolling out. Secondly, Gnome 3.28 has just been released. And finally, as you can see out here, I'm actually walking, and we might have a walking Q&A if there's enough people on the actual live stream. And so since I am outdoors right now, if the audio is bad, please let me know, because I can't tell. And also, since I am outdoors, maybe the connection might be bad, the streaming connection. And so, hey, good morning, Javendra Sa. Thank you for joining. And so let's go ahead and start with the whole Facebook creator thing. Now, if you have been watching the news, or maybe it's mainly here in the US, there's been a lot of controversy over the Facebook Cambridge Analytica stuff. But that's not really what I'm really focused on. What I'm focused on is the new Facebook creator that Facebook actually rolled out through first their iOS app. Now, if you are not familiar with what the Facebook creator production or a new feature is about, well, basically it's something that I talked about in other videos. I will leave the link in all the links in the description area below. But in previous videos, I talk about YouTube, being the dominant video platform, and how, in my opinion, the only real competitors in the upcoming future is going to be Facebook and Amazon with their Amazon Tube service, and maybe later on with Apple whenever they start getting more into the whole content creation arena. And so the whole Facebook creator program, it's basically YouTube. That's what they're trying to do. So if you actually go to Facebook creator, and like I said, I will leave the link in the description area below, what you see something very similar to what YouTube does, where they are obviously encouraging people to create video content for the platform. And also you have the options to monetize as well, which is something new that Facebook is rolling out. So they have stuff for brand deals and sponsorships, and then they have a beta programs for their ads. I think it's called beta ads, if I'm not mistaken. And so this is basically the same thing that YouTube does with their AdSense program. However, right now it is in the beta stage, and so not everybody is actually available to get in on this. Hey, Roger Luss, good morning. Thank you for joining. And so this is something that, like I did talk about before, but this is something that's going to be potentially really huge. Now, in my personal opinion, do I think it's going to take off right away? No. And I'll go over the reasons why. And this is very similar to my thoughts earlier on. And then secondly, if you are on Facebook already, should you create video content? Okay, and especially if you are a content creator. Okay, so let's go ahead with the first thing on whether or not this thing is viable. And Javendra is saying, in my country, India, it's 7:33 p.m. Definitely, I really appreciate the fact that a lot of you are joining this, because it is an international audience. And so for a lot of people in different parts of the world, it's nighttime or really late. Okay, but here in the United States, it's early in the morning, like 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning in some parts. Okay, and so the first thing is, with Facebook releasing this whole video content program, they actually obviously want to take advantage of their large user base. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I really enjoy and love content creation. And the biggest area of content that you're going to see from every platform, it doesn't matter if it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, and I'll get into that a little bit later, is that video is a huge thing. You're going to see more and more video content. And obviously YouTube is the leader, and so many other companies want to get in on this. Okay, and so let's go ahead and start off with you being a content creator and whether or not the Facebook video creator program is worth it. Okay, in my opinion, if you are already on Facebook and you are a video content creator, then why not just go ahead and create the content? And then secondly, it is a different platform, and so if any of you actually produce content for various platforms, you know that the content that you produce on one platform might not be the same for another platform. For example, if you were to create video content for YouTube, it's really not easy, or it wouldn't make sense for you to just use that same content for every single platform, because of the simple fact that the audience is different on each one of these platforms. So if you've probably seen some of my Snapchat videos, I put those on YouTube, that's already been pre-recorded, but that doesn't work quite as well. Or if you are on Facebook, the actual content there, it's different than if you had content on Twitter or if you had Instagram content, okay? Like, for example, a lot of people who are on Snapchat, they're a lot younger than people who are on Facebook, okay? And then on Twitter, I don't know, I'm not a Twitter user. And then also other social media platforms like Reddit or Discord, okay? It's just different audiences. So that's the first thing, if you are going to be using Facebook as a video content program, then you really have to tailor it for that platform. And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing is for Facebook creators, okay, with this whole video content, is it really viable considering the competition with YouTube? At this point, I think it's going to be an uphill battle for Facebook. And the reason I say that is because people who go on Facebook, they go for different reasons, okay? Like when people go to YouTube, they're actually looking for stuff. They're actually searching for something, okay? And I have said this before, where YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, right behind Google. And obviously Google owns YouTube. But whenever people go on Facebook, they're not there looking for anything, okay? I mean, it's a very Facebook-centric platform, obviously. So everybody who's in there, they're all Facebook users, okay? So a lot of times, you're just there to connect with other people who are on Facebook. And then for people like myself who are marketers and for business people, then you're obviously going to use Facebook as a platform to run ads on, okay? And so, but it's all really focused on just only people in the Facebook platform. Whereas something like YouTube, much like just Google alone, anybody could go there and search, okay? So that's a huge difference. And that's why I think with Facebook, with their video creator program, at the beginning, it's going to be really tough because, once again, nobody really searches for stuff on Facebook, okay? I mean, a lot of times, if you're on Facebook, what you're probably going to see is two main things. First thing you're probably going to see is feeds from people who are in your Facebook community, okay? That's first. And then secondly, you're going to see feeds from other things, okay? That's as just mentioned earlier, other businesses, other ads, okay? And so you've probably seen a lot of the news feed stories, the different stories. And so what Facebook wants to do is they want to integrate a lot of this new video features, and then now you will obviously spend more time on Facebook. And video is something that they are really pushing hard. If you do any type of Facebook advertising, you've noticed that probably whenever you do a post, if it's a video post, most of the times it's going to get a lot more exposure than something like, say, like a static image post, okay? And so, and that's not going to change. Okay, so in my overall opinion, if you are on Facebook already, then I would go ahead and try it out. Obviously, you have to meet a lot of requirements, just like on YouTube, in order to be part of their program. And also, they have strict rules, much like YouTube, on the type of videos that you could put out on there. Okay, so it's really nothing new. And so, for me, I'm really waiting for Amazon to get in on it. I have said this before, where I really feel like Amazon, with the Amazon Tube service, they have a better shot at making video popular, okay? Because Amazon, it's also a search engine, okay? You go there to search for stuff. And with their Amazon Prime services, their Amazon video program, they already have a foothold into that. And so it would make sense that if you are already on Amazon, you might as well be able to watch videos, and obviously whenever you are on platforms like Amazon, the requirements for production quality is much, much higher. So if you've seen a lot of my videos, I don't focus too much time on my production quality. I focus mainly on the content quality and the marketing. But as I go forward with my channel, I'm definitely going to have to increase the production quality, because every one of these platforms, they're going to make the requirements much, much higher, okay? And so yeah, so Facebook Creators Program, if you are interested in doing videos, you're already on that platform, give it a shot. It's not quite the same as YouTube. I still feel that YouTube is the best platform for video, but obviously there's going to be competitors coming all the time, okay? And so the second bit of news I have is how Gnome 3.28 has just been released, okay? And so if you're not familiar with GNOME, I think most people who do watch this channel are familiar with it. But if you do use Linux as a desktop operating system, you know, they have desktop environments, DEs. And so so basically, you know, your overall user experience. And so let me see. So Roger's asking a question. Before I go forward, let me see what that question is. So Roger's asking, this interesting point of view because you have the view of a YouTuber, and you could tell us what you know. Yeah, Roger. That's really my feeling. You know, a lot of times, whenever I make these videos, okay, I'm not an expert. Okay, I mean, I don't even pretend to be expert, but I have experience in this. Okay, and so a lot of times when I talk about these things, it's because I actually do it. Okay, I'm not some guy who's not done this before, and so I really feel like whenever I do talk about these things, hopefully it'll help somebody else who either might not have started or who just has started. And I think being a content creator, whether you are on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Discord, it doesn't matter where you're at, a lot of us go through the same things. Okay, so a lot of us understand what other content creators are going through. And so, you know, like, you probably heard this before, you know, it's really great, in my opinion, for you to make mistakes and have quote-unquote failures, because you learn from them, okay? But the best thing is you learn from other people's failures. And so I made a lot of mistakes, and I continue to make mistakes throughout my journey. But hopefully, people can learn from that, okay? And good morning, Lance. Thank you so much for joining. And so, yeah, Roger, that's the whole point of my channel. I mean, I'm sharing my experiences, you know, for the things that I enjoy. But at the same time, as you could probably tell from my channel, it's not only meant to entertain, okay, but it's really meant to educate, okay, educate. And also, in a lot of ways, it's a personal diary as well, because this journey is not for everyone, but it's a very fun and exciting thing, okay? And I really feel YouTube is probably the best platform, in my opinion. It's the most challenging, in my opinion, as well, because, you know, doing video is pretty challenging if you've never done it before. You know, it's really, in my mind, you know, let's go ahead and talk about this further. Good morning, Carlos. Thanks for joining. And this is from my perspective, okay? If you've never done video, like for me, I've never done video until YouTube, not like this. It's really scary, okay? Because you are putting yourself in front of potentially billions of people around the world, okay? And I don't think, like, if you've never been a content creator, that probably doesn't sink in your mind. You're probably thinking you're just a person who talks in front of a phone or a camera. But when you think about the magnitude of this, you're all around the world, okay? And in one case, yeah, I think it's scary, okay, because you do not know who's watching your videos. You know, you have no idea. But on the second case, it's really an amazing thing, because it teaches you so many different things. And that's why you're going to see me talk more and more about creating content on my channel, because I really feel when you do create content, not only do you develop yourself as a person, but you're also potentially helping other people, you know, around the world, who, because they watch your videos, because of the content that you had, they can learn something new. And let me give you a perfect example of that. If I didn't have YouTube, more than likely, I would not have learned to be a content creator. And if I didn't learn how to be a content creator and learn things about many different things, such as Linux, such as marketing, all this other stuff, you know, right? Then you would not have seen my videos, because I would have never became a content creator. And so that's a very simplistic view, but that's how I see it. And so, anyways, yeah, so that's my stance on that. And I really feel that you're going to see more and more companies getting into this video game. And so, as a matter of fact, I do marketing behind the scenes. And so in the future, you're going to see more video ads. You know, when you do a Google search, instead of seeing a lot of text-based results, you're going to see more video results. And obviously, if you are on YouTube, your videos will show up more prominently. So just look out for that, okay? So going back to the second subject is with Linux Gnome 3.28, the brand new desktop environment. And so let me run down over some new features that it has, okay? The first feature that really stuck out to me was the whole boxes feature, okay? And what boxes are is basically it is meant for people who will use virtual machines, okay? So So in this case, if you are a person who uses a lot of virtual machines, then most of the times, you're going to have to download some type of virtual machine program, and then you actually have to download the operating system itself. But with this new boxes feature, the virtual machine is basically already built into Gnome, and all you have to do is choose the operating system that you want, and then the boxes program will download it for you, which is absolutely awesome. And so, for example, if you are using the boxes feature, you could download multiple different distros, right, without having to go out and search for it, okay? And since it's all integrated, it should be a lot easier to use. And so that's I think one of the best features. And then the second feature that it has is it has improvements to its user interface. Okay, so they have a new font. I think it's called Contrella, if I'm not mistaken, a new font design, and also in other areas like their calendar, their clock. And so it's getting a visual update. Let's just say that it looks better. Okay, and then there's other things as well. There's actually support for like a Thunderbolt devices, Lightning devices. I think that's for Apple. I'm pretty sure it's Thunderbolt. And then also support for Bluetooth LE, which is low energy. And so a lot of improvements there. And there's also improvements to the software center as well. And so, yeah, so I myself, in terms of desktop environments, if you are a long-time Linux user, you probably already know that the majority of Linux desktop environments, most people use Gnome, or it's Gnome based, and if I remember correctly, I use Linux Mint, and I use the Cinnamon version, and Cinnamon is actually built on top of Gnome, if I remember correctly. But in terms of visual appeal, I actually prefer KDE Neon in terms of looks, but the problem is KDE Neon, for me, the performance is definitely not as fast as Gnome, and also at the same time, I think things are a little bit more complex through KDE. That's just my opinion, okay? But I'm really liking what Gnome is doing with the brand new version 3.28. And as you remember, Ubuntu it has actually moved away from their Ubuntu 1 interface, your Unity interface, and now they're going back to Gnome. And so, and other distros, like if I remember, even like Fedora, they would use just almost stock Gnome. And I never really like that interface. So now with this new one, hopefully with a visual overhaul and some of these features like boxes and stuff, maybe it'll actually make more people who actually create distros just keep the default Gnome. Okay, I might try it out. I'll probably try it out on a virtual machine because I am really interested in it. I looked at it, I'm like, man, that looks pretty good, and I'm really more looking at the visual stuff. Okay, I know that's not everything, but it is important. Okay, so that's why if you see on some of my Linux videos, I don't use the default Cinnamon desktop. Obviously I download different themes and icons, but I would like it to where if I had a version of Linux that already looks good, I like that modern clean design, and that everything, the UI design is good as well, then I won't have to download a different theme or icon pack. So yeah, it's pretty good stuff. So hats off to the actual Gnome team for actually releasing this new version, and it was primarily developed by their team in Asia. Okay, so they had a Gnome Asia Summit in 2017, and then the actual code name for Gnome 3.28 is actually Chongqing, and Chongqing is really it's a city in southwest China. It's right next to Chengdu, and so that's why it's codenamed like that. Okay, so what else is Lance saying? Roger saying, I'm inspired that for certain. Thanks, Roger. So Lance is saying, VMs are really handy. It'd be nice if it were built in feature. Yeah, Lance, that's why I think by Gnome featuring this already built in, that's really cool. I mean, because I don't distro hop, right? But if they had a feature like boxes built into most Linux distros, then I probably would just try out more distros, because I don't have to go through the trouble of getting it downloaded and making sure things work. It's already built in. You don't have to set up your virtual machine, so I really hope this rolls out to other Linux distros as well, because I can see the benefits of it. Okay, and hopefully they'll have a feature in there where it's not just Linux distros that you could just actually install a different operating system itself. Okay, so Roger's asking, I'm using Ubuntu 18.04 beta with GNOME, and it's awesome looking on my computer. Really? Oh wow, that's great to hear. So I'm definitely going to try it out. Maybe I will do an episode on it later this week. Like I said, I don't like to distro hop, but something like this where it's a different desktop environment, and I've been using GNOME obviously for a long time and KDE, and so this to me is the biggest refresh that I've seen for GNOME, and I think a lot of people will like it. So just look forward to an episode this week where I will try out for myself Gnome 3.28, but that's really good to know that you are actually trying it out and it looks great. Okay, so let me see what else. So Michael Kornblum, thank you for joining, Michael. Okay, so Michael's asking Roger if Ubuntu 18.04 beta is stable enough to run. And so Michael say, I'm holding out for the Ubuntu Mate release. Yeah, so just curious, so now that we're basically done with that, all the news, let's go ahead into the actual Q&A, okay? It seems like there's people on here, and so we could talk about whatever. So if you had questions, I'll try to answer some of them if I can. But also, continue our discussion here. So is Ubuntu Mate a version that you're using, Michael, at all? Or because I have tried Ubuntu Mate and I did like it. It reminded me a lot of Linux Mint, and what I mean by that is it was very easy to use. It's great for newbies, and it was stable as well. And so Roger's asking, works fine, and I game and all on it, no crashes. Wow. So, that's really good news. And so if Roger's talking about Ubuntu 18.04 beta, and that's good news for a lot of people, because obviously a lot of distros are based upon Ubuntu. And so if at least for Roger, the performance, seems like it works, it's stable, and the looks of it looks great. So that's good news, okay? And with Linux Mint, it has the older drivers. We don't always get the new kernel, let's say that. We don't always get the newest version. And so hopefully, once the latest version of Ubuntu comes out, more distros will actually adopt this new version, okay? And so let me see if anybody's... Okay, so yes, I have for quite a long time. Our rationale is as follows. The Software Center is one of the best of all the Ubuntu flavors. Oh yeah, the Software Center in Ubuntu Mate is really good. It's really good to use. It saves me a lot of time when I do new installations. Absolutely, yep. And so Lance is saying, if something happened where I couldn't use Mint, I would choose Ubuntu Mate with the brisk menu. Yeah, and I did talk about this before on a previous video this week, where I talked about my top 5 favorite things in Linux in 2018. And the very first thing that I talked about on number 5 was the actual user experience. And this is coming from people who actually use Linux, and so the user experience is definitely important. And then if you have different distros like Ubuntu Mate that is really good for people who are brand new to this platform, then it makes it so much easier for them to actually move over or even give it a shot. Okay, so I'm really looking forward now with Gnome 3.28 release as well, and then upcoming Ubuntu. I can't wait to see what the whole state of Linux is at the end of 2018. I mean, I really think we're going to get some absolutely amazing looking distros, not only from a visual design point, a UX design point, but also usability, which is hugely important. And as more and more programs and applications are being built for Linux, specifically on this platform, I think we're going to see an adoption rate increase on the Linux desktop. Okay, but it's not going to be this whole thing where Linux desktop takes over Windows. No, it's not going to be that. But all these improvements, they just make the experience a whole lot better. If I compared Linux now as a desktop to when I used Linux, more than 10 years ago, first getting my exposure to it, it's not even in the same universe. And that's in a good way. But at the same time, one thing I love about Linux, and any of you veteran Linux users could chime in as well, the best thing about Linux, as far as I could see right now, in terms of a technical point of view, is that even though visually, usability wise, ease of use, everything's gotten so much better, it's still the whole Linux GNU operating system underneath. You still have all that power, And so that's the best thing about it. They didn't like strip down the operating system, okay? Because when I think about other operating systems, like Windows or like Apple's Mac OS, if you're seeing the evolution of these operating systems, they've actually really limited the operating system or made it so simple where you don't get access to a lot of the power under the hood, okay? But with Linux, that's not the case. I mean, if you are a Linux guru, you're awesome with operating systems, you're a programmer, you still have access to all that power. And so yeah, so that's another thing that I didn't really mention that I probably should have. So that's another thing that I really enjoy about Linux. You know, they keep improving not only from the high level what people can see, but also underneath as well. Okay, so Javinda is saying driver support for Linux. Yeah, Javinda, are you saying the driver support has gotten better? Because that's, for me, well, it's okay. So you're saying it's not up to mark. Well, Javinda, I will say that for a graphics card, for the most part, you're right. Okay, but this is my own personal experience. Okay. But if you're talking about general drivers, like just getting your computer up and running, this is so much easier than Linux when it first, like I said, when I first started using it more than 10 years ago. Because more than 10 years ago, drivers was to me, it was the #1 problem with Linux back then. Just getting your operating system working. For example, whenever I tried to install Red Hat Linux, I couldn't even get the partitioning to work correctly. The Wi-Fi, I wasn't even able to get the Wi-Fi to work. And then back then you had to worry about your sound card as well. My graphics drivers were all messed up. And so basically I couldn't even use my computer to begin with. And that is a huge, huge problem. But nowadays, in my opinion, I think for a lot of people who are new to Linux and they're using a very popular distro that's well supported, for the most part, the main driver issues that they would have is with their graphics cards, or maybe if they had something like a printer. I mean, there's still printer issues, obviously, but not as bad as it used to be. Or maybe if you have something specialized like a 3D printer, okay, or a tablet, or, you know, like a tablet to drive it. So Javendra is saying, actually driver support for Intel GMA is not good. I mean, I cannot even play full HD video properly. Yeah, Javendra, for me, I haven't had that many problems, to be honest with you, not like I'm used to. But obviously every computer is different. But I think like for anybody else who's been using Linux for a long time, maybe you could chime in as well, you know. Hey, good morning, Samuel S. Thanks for joining. But I really feel that it's gotten a lot better versus than I remember using it at the beginning. And so since we do have some people on the Q&A, I did want to talk about something else. I did talk about this on my video last week, and I didn't do a live video last week. And so one of the things that I talked about last week was, you know, what are some things that you like on the channel, and then what are some things that you didn't like. Okay, I like to, if anybody wants to share your thoughts on there, that would help, because I'm really trying to improve my overall content on this. So oh, thank you. Michael was saying one of the best things that can be suggested for new users who are looking to make the switch: do research on the target hardware prior to installation. Absolutely, Michael. I agree with you 100%. Because back then, whenever Linux first came out and the internet was pretty much brand new, you couldn't just go on the internet, you know. But now it's a lot easier. So you could always look on the internet to see whether or not other people have installed on your hardware and whether or not they have problems. Because, you know, if you install Linux on a lot of different machines, I think most people are aware of issues like the Broadcom Wi-Fi issues versus the Realtek. Okay, and so let me see what Lance is saying. I like the text Linux subjects. Yeah, Lance. Oh, and what I'm specifically for what I want to do is I'm actually expanding upon what I talked about. Okay, so and just to reiterate what my main focus of my channel is. Okay, I primarily focus on 3 areas. Okay, and this is where I'm changing things. So the first area is hey Javendra, goodbye. Thanks for joining. The first area is actually well, not sure where I'm at. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back. So the first area is actually content creation. Hey, Jami Manalo, thanks for joining. Have you ever tried? Okay, so let me go ahead and I'll answer that, Jami. Let me go ahead and answer this first. So the first area that I'm focused on is obviously Linux. Okay, so that my Linux stuff, I'm gonna make Linux videos every week. I'm not gonna stop that. Okay, so if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that normally I produce 2 to 3 videos per week on Linux. So that's not changing. Okay, what I am trying to do, at least with the Linux content, is I'm trying to create stuff that actually helps more people. Okay, I mean, I don't know how to explain that. If you look at a lot of my videos, I have a lot of Linux tutorials. Okay, and so I don't think we're going to change that too much. Okay, but I'm trying to think of ways to improve that. I really want to help people when they come into Linux to make it easier for them. Okay, not just like, installing a distro and stuff like that, but I'm like stuff that you use every day. Okay, I'm an everyday user, and that's why I have playlists like making the move from Mac or Windows or Mac to Linux. I have my OpenShot tutorial series. I started, how to create your own distro, your OBS studio series. So you're going to see more videos like that, where I try to get deeper within these tools that we use every single day. Okay, and the other 2 areas that I'm really going to be focused on is content creation and marketing. Okay, now I know a lot of people who watches my videos, they come here for the Linux stuff. Okay, and so that's still going to be there, but at the same time, I enjoy other things. Okay, so content creation and marketing for me is huge, and so you're going to see more and more of those type of videos. Okay, and so there is a group of people who actually come to my site who enjoy that stuff. Okay, so and I enjoy it, and so I'm going to continue doing that. And so the areas that I am trying to think of different ways is like other topics. Okay, I definitely do talk about tech news, but I make videos pretty much every day. So I think about like, well, I've already created 4 videos. Or 6 videos, 5 videos. What are some other type of videos that I can produce? Okay, and so so if y'all had any other ideas on that, I really would appreciate it. And I know a lot of you have left ideas, and the consensus, I think a lot of people obviously are people who enjoy Linux. So a lot of people enjoy the Linux content. Okay, but what I'm really thinking about is like what other things can I focus on, okay, or what other things can I improve? Okay, so anyway, if you had any other thoughts on that during this live stream, leave it there, or you can leave it in the comments area below. But the problem is with my live videos, with the mobile, I've been having some issues with my mobile live streams where they get deleted. Okay, and so unfortunately, whatever comments that you leave in this video or any of the chats, this won't show up later on. I'm actually going to re-upload this, and so I just want to let anybody know. So the YouTube hasn't been able to figure it out yet, and so so for anybody who's on the live stream right now, all this stuff that we talk about, all the comments, all the views, it's only during this live stream. Okay, so let's get back to one of the questions that Javindra, Jame Manalo had the question. Have you ever tried any other video aside from OpenShot? Yes, Jame. My main video editor that I use is Kdenlive. That's actually the video editor that I use to produce pretty much all my videos. But the reason why I wanted to do an OpenShot series is because I really feel that whenever people try out Linux, or they're thinking about moving from Windows or Mac over to Linux, then OpenShot to me is the easiest video editor for them to use. Okay, and obviously things like Windows Movie Maker doesn't exist in Windows 10 anymore, but a lot of people who are on an Apple Mac, they're used to stuff like Final Cut Pro or their iMovie and stuff like that. Okay, or even QuickTime. And so so I do use Kdenlive. That is my main one, but I don't think Kdenlive is good for people who are brand new to video editing. And I think once people get in Linux and they see that there's so many tools that are freely available and that they're extremely powerful, I think they'll be pleasantly surprised. Okay, so I do use Kdenlive as my main video editor. But as I get better and better, I might make a Kdenlive series. Okay, but I'm not going to do that yet. As my production quality gets better, I could spend more time on video editing. You will see definitely tutorials on Kdenlive. And then later on, I might move over to other things. When I get like at pro level video editing, my production quality, my skills get better, I might even move towards something like a DaVinci Resolve. So by that point, I will have a better camera. I'm going to do more color grading stuff. And then, you know, who knows? That's kind of where my mindset is right now. And so let me see. And so I hope the audio is okay. I'm not sure how it sounds. Michael said, would you be interested to do a series of audio recording under Linux? Yeah, Michael, I actually already plan on doing that. And thanks for asking, because what I think about when I use my Linux computer every day, this is why I already mentioned that, but I want to get deeper into it. What I really want to do is, like I said, I want to focus deeper on the programs, on the things that I do as an everyday Linux user. Okay, so that's my main thing. And so audio recording is definitely important. I am not an audio pro, and so a lot of my tutorials, it's really based upon my own experiences. Okay, and so there's a lot of people who watch these Linux videos who are definitely way more of an expert than I am. So a lot of times, whenever I make these videos, the great thing is there's a lot of people who leave their ideas and comments who have more expertise in this area, and that's, to me, that's the most awesome thing. Okay, that's why I really love the people in the Linux community, because there's so many smart people, and at the same time, most of them are willing to help, because you know, very similar to what I talked about earlier, being a content creator, you know, you are leaving your experiences, right? You're helping other people who might be interested in. And so very similarly, when I see the Linux community, a lot of them are like, well, let me share some of the stuff that I learned, you know, some of the mistakes that I made, you know, some of the problems that I had, and then that helps other people who are brand new coming into Linux. And so, yeah, it's an awesome community. I love the Linux community, the open source community as a whole. They're great. You know, so if you are brand new to Linux, or you're thinking about, you know, maybe trying out a different operating system, definitely jump in, and definitely know that there is a community of people everywhere. You know, here at YouTube, if you use any of these other social media platforms, I think a lot of people are on Discord right now, but even on Twitter, you know, I myself, I'm not a huge social media person, but you get the point. There's a lot of people here who have experienced this, and most of them are willing to help where they can. Okay, and so Jamay says, thank you for your response. Hoping for more techniques from you. Yeah, Jamay, the more I learn, if I think it'll be helpful to people, I will share it, because I really feel like all this content that I'm creating, and I know this is cliche if you are a content creator, but I create stuff that I would want to watch. Okay, that's why I created the whole open shot tutorial series, is because, you know, these are things that I wish I knew whenever I got into it. Okay, and similarly for other Linux stuff, that's why I created my whole replace Windows or Mac with Linux, because these are things that I wanted to know, and I wanted to have it all in one place. Okay, so that's first and foremost. And then secondly, if you are a content creator, and especially if you're doing it, I do it like a business. Okay, I put in a lot of work into it. In order for you to do it as a business, you actually want to expand it beyond just a hobby, then you actually have to create something that is valuable to people. Okay, you have to create value. Okay, just think of any other businesses in the world. You know, think of all the products that you use. You know, it doesn't matter. I mean, all of them have to create something that people find value in. Otherwise, they will not spend money with you. They won't like your product and services, and they won't spend any time. Okay, so I think about that as well. And so it's really simple. You know, you're a content creator, create stuff that you yourself would enjoy, and I think most importantly, you have to create value. And once again, that is cliche, but it's true, and it's very simple as well. And so let me see if there were any other questions. And let me see. Michael says, if you need any help, I wrote a series of articles for Freedom Penguin some time ago. Oh, thanks, Michael. And hey, Michael, I just want to say thank you for one of your comments on one of my videos that you left, where, you know, I really, Michael left a comment on one of my videos where he wanted to thank me for, I guess, focusing on the positive of the Linux and open source community. And that's what I do. I mean, and because I like to focus on things that are more positive, okay? And because that really, to me, that's the most productive use of our time. And at the same time, you know, if you focus on primarily the positive things, then you don't spend a lot of times on the stuff that doesn't really matter. That's my opinion, okay? And so I'm all about educating, entertaining, and sharing the things that I've learned, and that's not going to change. So that's my primary focus. But I really couldn't do a lot of these things if I didn't have you, the community, here. And so I'm kind of getting lost on this trail. Actually, I might be slipping and sliding somewhere. So this is one of the disadvantages to doing something live that's outdoors. I think this is my first live episode that I'm actually outdoors like this. So, okay, so Sector Zone, good morning, everyone. Okay, so I have about 10 minutes left. I do like to keep this within an hour. So if y'all had any other questions, you can leave it there. But I'm going to talk about some other random stuff, okay, that I saw this week. Okay, so I saw the Facebook creator thing, video creator. But I also saw the new trailers, movie trailers. And I moved all my movie content over to my other channel, Go Movies. But every now and then, I still like to talk about movie stuff. And so the two trailers that came out this past week, first was the Avengers Infinity War trailer. Man, that looks sweet. If you're a big comic book fan, you probably remember Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity War. I'm pretty sure the Russo brothers and the rest of Marvel, they're going to do this right, because it looks really sweet. Now, some of the things that I didn't like, and I know a lot of people talked about it, it's like, if you think about how powerful Thanos is, even without his Infinity Gauntlet, he's like galactic level powerful, right? And then that last scene from the trailer where Captain America is stopping his glove, that's simply not possible. I mean, Thanos is a destroyer of worlds, and so I'm really curious as to how Captain America was able to hold Thanos off. I mean, basically he could just wipe him off the face of reality. That's how powerful Thanos is. And so that didn't make sense. But the rest of it looks so awesome. It's really great to see the culmination of all these different characters throughout all these years coming together. And so Marvel, obviously, they do it right, okay? Unlike something like Justice League, which was absolutely horrible. And then the second trailer that came out recently was the Deadpool, I guess the final Deadpool 2 trailer. And man, that looks it was so funny. I really enjoyed the very first Deadpool movie. I actually had the original comic book, X-Force 1, I have that. But I also had his comic books whenever Rob Liefeld went out, with other former Marvel characters. They created Image Comics. If you're into comics, you probably know Image Comics. There were Spawn, Rob Liefeld's Youngblood, okay? Jim Lee also created, I think it was Wildcats, if I remember correctly. And this was a long time ago, okay? And so I also heard some rumors that Rob Liefeld, I think he's about to sign a multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix to have his Youngblood series come over to Netflix. That would be pretty sweet. But obviously he doesn't own the rights to Deadpool, and so that's a Marvel property. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Okay, so let me see. Let's see if there's other questions. So Samuel S is saying, Real Geek Outdoors video continue series on Go OS. Yeah, yes, Samuel. I haven't gone back to the distro creation yet, so I have to make some time. It just takes me time to do all this, and so let me see. So Michael says, have you considered creating a Getter or Discord community? Yeah, Michael, I have answered this before, but let me reiterate my stance on social media, okay, which is what it is. That stuff takes time, okay, and I just simply do not have the time to spend on that, and the only social media that I do right now, and I consider YouTube is also social media as well, but it's not quite there yet in terms of interactivity. But the only social media that I use is Snapchat. But Snapchat, I think Snapchat is dying. That's my opinion. Most people are in Instagram now. Okay, Instagram, at least for the mass of people are on Instagram. But Discord, that community, I think there's a lot of people who are in the tech community, geek community. They use Discord a lot. So I don't use Twitter. I don't use any of that. So the main reason I don't use them right now is time. Okay, so when it gets to the point where I can have more time, I might. But that's not really where my focus is, okay? And I know it would help not only my channel, but it also would help to interact with the community. But honestly, it's a time thing, okay? So maybe later on, Michael, I might. But at this point, I don't see myself doing anything really in-depth in social media. Okay, and also later on, YouTube is going to be rolling out more social community features through YouTube itself. And so I'll be able to just probably do a lot of that through YouTube. Okay, so and here's another thing, okay, that I've learned, and I've learned from other people who are successful on the internet, is that you really want to focus on a few things and learn how to master it. Okay, so for myself, I'm focused on YouTube. I really want to get in depth on this platform. I want to master this platform, not only from the content creation point of view, but also the marketing that goes on underneath. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see. And so I really want to master that, okay? Because like I said earlier, video is going to be the most dominant type of content on any platform. And so I'm kind of preparing myself for that. And it's not just YouTube. Video is going to be everywhere, okay? So yeah, I know it's kind of loud. Let me see. I'm on this trail, okay? Michael say, I'm holding out for Ready Player One, read the book. It was totally brilliant. Oh yeah. I don't know if, Michael, if you've seen some of the initial reviews for Ready Player One, but the early reviews have been pretty good. And so, and if you're not familiar with Ready Player One, this is a book, but the movie that's coming out is actually directed by Steven Spielberg, and it has a lot of nostalgic characters, a lot of video game characters, a lot of video game references, but they also have stuff like Back to the Future, and so with Robert Zemeckis, and I think Spielberg was part of that as well. I think he was co-director. Anyway, I'm glad the reviews are good. Hopefully the movie's going to be awesome as well. Okay, so yeah, so I'm approaching an hour, so if y'all had any other questions or things you want to talk about, let me know. Okay, and as I stated earlier, whatever comments that you leave here in this video or even views, they won't be here. So this is only available during this live video. As I mentioned earlier, I'm having problems with mobile live streams, and so that's why, you know, like whenever I upload this, it'll delete my previous live stream. Okay, so anyways, this is all the stuff that we talk about here, it'll only be on this video. No problem, man. So before I go, let me go ahead and thank everybody who's on here and for joining me on this outdoors video. Okay, so let me first thank Javendra. Yes, Javendra. Secondly, let me thank Roger Luss. Thanks for joining. And let me see. And Roger has been joining more. And Lance, as always, been around here for a long time. Carlos Henrique, thank you so much for joining, Carlos. And let me see who else is on here. Michael Kornblum, thank you so much, Michael, for joining. And let me see who else is on there. Samuel S, thank you, Samuel. Let me see if there's anybody else. Jame Manalo, thank you for joining and thank you for asking these questions. Sector 01, thanks, Sector 01. As I know you've been on the channel before. Okay, and that's it. And so thank you for everybody who is also watching the stream right now or maybe later for adding to our Geek discussion. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to subscribe. And if you wanted to support my channel further, you could do that at patreon.com/geekoutdoors.